Good evening, campers, and welcome aboard the Starship Nightwish. I am Commander Exorcist, and I am a day late. I apologize. This is not Taco Tuesday. This is way late Wednesday. So, a couple of issues I want to talk about real quick before we get into the actual article we're going to read, which is very interesting. It's kind of a companion piece to the one I did last week where Hudson was doing his deportation program. It's a little darker. That was a darker video. That was a darker topic, really. Interesting. We've been talking about that stuff. But first of all, yes, I've been very sick the last few days. I'm still sick, and I'm dealing with an illness that has my equilibrium kind of off, and just a couple of different things. So I will try to get through this the best that I can, but please, a little bit of mercy and patience with me as I try to get through dealing with a sickness and trying to get through this, because I want to continue to be faithful to my Galnet watchers, because I know they are out there. There's not many of you. There may be like 4, but the army of 4, the 4 people that watch these videos, I got you, okay? Integrity, man. I'm going to do the right thing whether anybody's watching or not. So the second thing, before we get into the article, is just kind of Elite Dangerous in general. They have published the schedule for Frameshift Live. It used to be like every other week they had a broadcast, and now they've gone to every month, and which makes sense because they are doing some updates to the game, and we are getting into the summer months and people taking vacation, and so. But the schedule is published out there for the rest of the year, so that's nice to see. We are getting an update 16. We're getting an update 17. So there's a lot more coming for Elite. However, what I'm trying to get to and trying not to ramble is things are very quiet right now, very quiet. We had a period of intense activity here in the first part of the year, especially with the kickoff of the Thargoid War, and now it's really quiet. We haven't even gotten a new Galnet article this week. The one I'm about to read came out last week, shortly after my video on Hudson came out. So we're going to talk about that. And I'll be honest, I know a little bit about this article. I have not read it, so we are going to read it together. Let's get to it. The disappearance of the Dedicant. Wow. So, if you don't know, the Dedicant is the megaship that was being used by the Federation to round up the Far God Order members. I'm not going to refer to them as cultists because that's kind of what they want you to believe, and that's what they're referred to in the article. But we're going to talk about what has happened to the Dedicant. Interesting. The disappearance of the Dedicant. The Dedicant has disappeared from Papuntia just a few hours after thousands of Far God cultists boarded the megaship with a federal escort. What did you expect? You have a group of people who believe that an alien life form that has invaded our space and seems to be bent on our annihilation, you put them all together on a ship together. These are zealots. These are people that truly believe that the Goids are gods. And so, yeah, the Federation kind of set themselves up for this. It's an interesting turn of events that they were going to be exiled, but the Far God Order kind of stood up and took control of its own destiny, at least for the moment. The cultists were due for transfer aboard the vessel from Federal to Allied space, where amnesty has been offered by Prime Minister Mayan. In exchange for their release, the True Chapters Sec agreed to unlock access to its secretive databanks and sacred texts prior to departure. I talked about that last week. That is not a good idea. There is no reason for the Federation or any of the superpowered bureaucracies to have access to those documents. It's not good. It really isn't. Nothing good can come out of that. The Dedicant instead initiated a hyperspace jump ahead of schedule, failing to arrive in the Mullick system as planned. The Federal Navy and the Allied Defense Force both deployed search parties along the route between systems. Their initial report states that no signals were detected. and have found no evidence that the Dedicant was intercepted or destroyed. The megaship's current location and status remain unknown. Good on the Far God Order. Wow. Get out of there. Go do your thing. Go do your thing. I don't like seeing people oppressed like that, so it's kind of cool to see the Far God giving the Federation a little bit of run for their money. Executive Agent Jalen Locke of the Federal Intelligence Agency issued a press statement. Well, let's see what Jalen has to say. We've completely lost contact with the FIA security teams controlling the Dedicant. Uh-oh. This is of grave concern, considering there are thousands of Thargoid-worshipping criminals aboard. We are operating under the assumption that the cultists somehow overpowered our people and absconded with the megaship. Okay? We kind of know that. Yeah, your federal agents are missing, but I'll throw this out there. What's to say that they aren't helping? It wouldn't be the first time that loyal believers put on uniforms and were in the right place at the right time to execute the right maneuvers. Dr. Alfred Ulanov, leading expert on the Order of the Far God, also spoke to the media. The true chapters are undoubtedly more proactive than the Far God orthodoxy, but their nature remains essentially fatalistic. This makes it hard to imagine them taking on armed FIA agents in combat. It seems more likely that a third party was involved, although we cannot discount the possibility that the Dedicant's original owners found a way to divert its course through hyperspace. So what you've got now is this kind of finger-pointing, bureaucratic back and forth. So it's pretty simple. You got the FIA, which is going to straight up blame the Order of the Far God and assume that violence occurred. These are criminals. They're criminals because of their belief system. And so because they're criminals, you have to assume that there was violence involved. And that's really just, it's a sickening bias. And I hope that whatever happened to the Dedicant, that nobody got hurt. It's unfortunate because the reality is that some people probably got hurt. I highly doubt that even if there was FIA agents that were set up to help take over the ship and move it to a new destination out of the reach of the Federation, I highly doubt that all of them were going to be involved. The chances of getting together an organized coup like that, I mean, it could be done, but that's a hell of a lot of resources and manpower and planning that needs to be thrown out there. In terms of the true chapters in the Far God Order, all somebody's got to do is say go, and they take the ship. And among those thousands, I'm sure there's plenty of people that know how to run and work on a megaship. That's just kind of a thing. So, I do like Alfred, Dr. Ulanov's kind of view, because with the fatalistic view for the true chapters, there's kind of this sense that the Far God is coming to exact judgment on people. And so why fight? Why fight? Why not just lay down and let justice, the Far God justice, come forward and take you? That's kind of the fatalistic view that I think these people have. And so it's really interesting, the sense that if they realize the end of the world is here for them, that the Far God has sent his messengers in the form of the Thargoids, they shouldn't be fighting. They should just be kind of going with it, going with whatever is determined, whatever is sent their way, because it is a divine fulfillment. The Federation rounding up the people of the Far God Order. I'm willing to bet there's a prophecy in the Thargoid worshippers and the Far God's sacred text that talks about stuff like this, because this is very, very common in religion. The idea of a fatalistic, final, apocalyptic oppression, where the governments and the organizations, the structures that are designed to take care of us, turn on the faithful. And so what you've got here is, even if we can assume that they're not, the Thargoids are not gods. The Far God Order believes they are. And by the Federation engaging with the Far God Order in this way, they're essentially proving their point. If the true chapters are fatalistic and believe that the end is coming at the hands of the Goyds or whatever other force, and that there's no hope and no escape and judgment is imminent, the Federation rounding them up and treating them this way and sending them away to essentially judgment is proving their point. They can point to their text and say, see, I told you, this is in the prophecy. The Federation, I'm afraid, is going to place itself in a very, very uncomfortable, very dangerous, and very realistic place when it comes to religious prophecy and apocalyptic outview. So that is my theological soapbox, I guess. Not bad for an exorcist in a cowboy hat, I guess. So everyone, these are the disciples. These are the people that make this content and the other content on this channel possible. Thank you so much for your continued support. If you would like to support, which I would love to have you support the channel, you can go to patreon.com/Commander Exorcist, and I do monthly vlogs, I do special videos. There's some stuff that I post that doesn't make it onto the main channel, doesn't make it onto the main social media. There's a little extra stuff here and there. So, but these guys really make things happen, and I really appreciate the support all the time. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is way late Wednesday. No Taco Tuesday this week because, like I said, I was sick. I think I did all right getting through this, although I'm feeling a little dizzy and out there. But, hey, I didn't mean to say that. But I really just want to say thank you to everyone for continuing to watch and stick with me. There's not a lot going on in terms of news and movement with Elite, but we are approaching Update 16, which has promised some new ships as far as the Goyds and some new experiences. So who knows what incredible things wait around the corner. I think things are going to pick up here toward the end of the summer, and yeah, we'll see what happens. But in the meantime, let's say a prayer for the Far God Order, and I just hope that nobody's hurt. I hope that wherever the Dedicant ends up, that the Far God Order finds peace, and that if there's FIA folks that are on board, if they're not part of it, that they're not harmed and they're sent home. So I think that the best way to move forward with something like this is to find mutual solutions for all parties. Space is big. I don't want to get on a rant, but one of my favorite scenes in sci-fi is Star Trek Deep Space Nine, and there's a moment when the Dominion War starts where Cisco and his dad are talking on a video chat, and his dad is complaining about the war, and he's like, space is big. Space is huge. You think there'd be enough room for everyone to just leave each other alone, but we still find ways to beat the crap out of each other. It's just fascinating. It really is. All this space, and we manage to still poke at each other. Anyway. Hey, everyone. Thanks for watching. Thanks for putting up with the rants. I will see you next week out there on Saturday as usual, and I will see you next week. Fly safe, watch your backs, and I will see you out there. 07.